I gave my parents access to my entire life, savings expecting them to spend it on bills and other expenses. Instead, they used it as a down payment for my sister's new house and told me to handle the rest. I, 29 male, worked as the operations director for a regional logistics company. I oversee distribution for 17 warehouses across 4 states. Pull in $155,000 a year plus bonuses. Got a portfolio worth $180,000 between investments and savings. None of my family knows any of this. To them, I'm still the warehouse guy who got lucky with a supervisor position. I live with my parents Rafael and Katerina and my sister Sophia in a rental house they think I can barely afford. Been bankrolling the whole thing since I was 23. Rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, all of it. Rafael does part-time bookkeeping that brings in maybe $1,100 a month. Katerina works retail 3 days a week for about $900. Combined, they clear maybe $2,200 on a good month. Sophia is 26, has a degree in communications, and hasn't held down a real job since graduation. She's building her personal brand on social media. Last I checked, she had 340 followers and posted selfies at brunch spots I paid for. Things got really bad about 8 months ago, but it wasn't slow. It was a bunch of gut punches over 3 weeks that showed me exactly what I was to them. I'd just gotten back from a work trip to Dallas, exhausted, hadn't slept in 30 hours, walked in the door and Sophia was redecorating the living room. "What do you think?" she asked, pointing at new throw pillows and a rug. "Looks good." "How much?" "Only $600. I used your card, not asked. Used it like it was her money." I was too tired to argue. Went to my room, found out she'd also been in there. My desk drawer was open. She'd taken my spare credit card, the one I kept hidden for emergencies. Then Rafael's car needed work. Transmission issue. Came to me desperate. Said he couldn't get to work without it. $950. I transferred the money right away. 2 days later, I'm getting gas, and I see his car in the Buffalo Wild Wings parking lot middle of a Tuesday afternoon. I walk in. He's there with 3 of his buddies, wings piled high, watching basketball on the big screens. He saw me, just waved like it was normal. I paid for an emergency repair so he could go hang out with his friends. Then Katerina needed money for a spa weekend. Said she was stressed, needed it for her mental health, $750. I gave it to her because I actually believed her. She came back complaining the hotel wasn't nice enough. Said next time she'd go somewhere better. But the thing that really did it happened on my birthday. I turned 29. I came home from a double shift. Had been up since 4 a.m. doing inventory counts across 3 warehouses. Absolutely destroyed. Looking forward to maybe just ordering pizza and watching a movie, walked in to find the house full of people. Katerina's sister and her family, Rafael's brother, some of Sophia's friends, music playing, food everywhere, decorations, balloons, a banner stretched across the living room. I thought maybe they'd actually remembered. Maybe this was for me. "Oh, Enzo," Katerina said when she saw me. "Perfect timing. We're celebrating Sophia's new job." Sophia had just gotten a part-time position at Target. 4 shifts a week, $16 an hour. They threw her a party. My birthday wasn't mentioned once. Not a single person there even knew it was my birthday. My aunt asked how I'd been. I said it was my birthday. She looked uncomfortable and changed the subject. But here's the part that really got me. I saw the receipts on the kitchen counter while getting water. $380 at the fancy Italian place for catering, $120 for a cake from that expensive bakery downtown, $95 for decorations, all on my credit card. My money funding a celebration for Sophia's minimum wage retail position while my own birthday got treated like it didn't exist. I stood there in my work boots, covered in warehouse dust, watching these people. Sophia walked past me to get to the food, literally bumped into me, didn't even look at me. Her friend asked, "Who's that?" "Just my brother. He works at a warehouse." I went to my room, sat on my bed, pulled up my bank account, my actual account, the one they didn't know about. $180,000. Vice president track position, managing 17 warehouses across 4 states, and they thought I was nothing. That's when I decided to find out who they really were, who they actually were, when given the chance to show it. The next day I started planning. I opened a new checking account and transferred $12,000 into it, less than 7% of my liquid assets. Got a debit card attached to it. Then I called my old college friend Diego, corporate attorney. "Smart guy. I need you to draw up some paperwork for me." I said, "Account access documentation. Make it thorough and professional." "What's this for?" "I'm giving my family access to money. Want everything documented properly." He was quiet for a second. "You're up to something." "Just covering my bases." "Can you do it?" "Give me a few days." The documents he sent over were perfect. 8 pages. Professional, exactly what I needed. Sunday dinner. I made my move. Ordered their favorite Chinese food. Once everyone was comfortable and full, I pulled out the card and the paperwork. So I wanted to talk to you guys about something I started. I've been thinking about making things easier. Instead of you always asking me for money and me transferring it, what if I just gave you access to my savings account? Katerina's eyes went wide. Your savings? You're my family. I've got $12,000 in here. It's everything I've managed to save. Figure you can use it for household bills? Keep things running smooth. Sophia perked up. 12,000? That's actually pretty good for a warehouse supervisor. I bit my tongue. Let her keep thinking I was still pushing pallets. There's just some paperwork, I said, sliding the stack across the table. Bank requires it for joint account access. Standard stuff. Super boring. Rafael picked it up, squinted at the first page. Account authorization and access agreement. He flipped through the other page's eyes glazing over. Lot of paperwork for a debit card. Banks, man. Got to cover themselves. Katerina grabbed a pen. Where do we sign? Bottom of pages 3, 5, and 8. All 3 of you. They signed. Sophia scribbled her name without even looking at the pages. Katerina signed, while asking if we had any dessert. 8 pages. They didn't read a single line. Just like that, they had access to what they thought was my entire life savings. I handed them the card. Just use it for household stuff. Okay, necessary things. This is literally everything I have. The lie came out easy. I'd gotten good at lying to them. Had to be. Living a double life for 6 years. Of course, honey, Katerina said. We'll be so careful with it. Sophia took the card, looked at it like it was a prize. That same smirk from before crossed her face. None of them asked why I was doing this. They just took. I went to my room and sat on the edge of my bed, pulled up the account on my phone. $12,000 waiting. I went to bed that night feeling zero guilt. I'd given them a choice. They could respect the boundaries, use the money responsibly, prove they valued me as more than a bank account, or they could show me exactly who they really were. The first month was almost boring. Rent, utilities, groceries, all legitimate. I checked the account every morning, started thinking maybe I'd been too harsh. Month 2, cracks started showing. $450 at Nordstrom. Sophia came home in designer heels. Job interview, she said. No interview ever happened. $380 at an upscale restaurant. Rafael claimed work was same old boring, didn't mention his 3-course meal. Month 3, they lost it. $650 at a spa. Katerina came home with fresh highlights and new nails. $520 at Best Buy. A new tablet for Sophia's content creation. $890 at Majanos's. I drove past that night. Saw them at a big table with family friends. Appetizers, food everywhere, celebrating something they never mentioned to me. I started screenshotting everything, built a spreadsheet. By month 3, they'd burned through $4,200. Katerina would ask about my day while wearing $200 earrings. Rafael complained about needing work shoes while watching his new 4K TV. Sophia whined about being broke while tapping her new tablet with professionally done nails. I played along. One night I came home early from work, found Sophia in my room. She jumped when I walked in, shoving something into her pocket. "What are you doing in here looking for a phone charger?" She walked past me without making eye contact. Her face was guilty. Later I checked my desk drawer. My old pay stubs were slightly out of order, the ones from when I first started at the warehouse back when I was making $32,000 a year. She'd been snooping, maybe trying to figure out how much I actually made, probably trying to calculate how much more money she could squeeze out of me. The drawer where I used to keep current documents was empty now. I'd learned years ago to keep anything important away from them. I moved all my real financial documents to a safety deposit box the next day. Bank statements, tax returns, investment portfolios. Everything that showed what I actually earned went into a secure location they'd never access. The lies kept getting bigger. Katerina mentioned needing gas money, then showed up with grocery bags from Whole Foods. Rafael said he was working overtime, but I'd see his car parked at home during hours he claimed to be at the office. Sophia started talking about her influencer career like it was a real job, posted photos with sponsored product tags, except nothing was actually sponsored, just items she'd bought with my money, pretending brands sent them to her. I watched it all, documented it all, said nothing. "Must be nice to have savings," Sophia said one night. "It's not much," I said. "But it's something," she smirked. "Not for long. At this rate, something in me went cold." I looked up from my plate. She was staring right at me, daring me to say something. My hand tightened around my fork. I could end this right now. Could tell her exactly how much I made. Could watch that smirk disappear. But that wasn't the plan. I needed to see how far they'd go. Needed them to bury themselves completely before I pulled the trigger. So I just smiled. Yeah, I guess I should have saved more. She went back to her tablet, didn't even register that I'd spoken. I almost laughed. She had no idea how right she was. By the end of month 4, they'd burned through $6,800, more than half the money gone. They stopped asking me for money directly, just used the card, stopped pretending the purchases were necessities. They'd crossed a line somewhere in month 3 and never looked back. Rafael started talking about retirement like it was close. He was 56, nowhere near retirement age, but he'd mention it over dinner. Then Sophia screwed up. She left her laptop open on the kitchen table. Real estate search results. Multiple listings. Houses in the $180,000 to $200,000 range. Down payment calculator showing $5,500 needed. A spreadsheet calculating monthly payments, exact amount that would be left in the account after their month 4 spending spree. They weren't just planning to use my money, they were planning to use all of it. I took photos of her screen, added them to the folder. The folder was getting thick. 5 months of documentation, every lie, every purchase, every conversation where they talked about me like I was stupid, every time they treated me like I was invisible. Month 5 rolled around and the account dropped below $5,000. I started hearing them talk late at night. We should use the rest for the down payment, Katerina said. What if Enzo asks Rafael's voice? He gave us the card. A house is a household expense, Sophia chimed in. Plus, once we have the house, he can move out. He's 29, kind of weird he still lives at home. I stood in the hallway, phone out, recording every word. Let them dig deeper. She called me weird for living at home. I paid the rent, I paid the utilities, I paid for the food in the fridge, and the cable she was probably watching right now. I'd spent 5 months staying calm, staying cold. Then I stopped the recording. The next week, they started looking at houses, talking about square footage, and neighborhoods discussing paint colors like they'd already bought the place. Then the realtor calls started. I'd hear Katerina on the phone in hushed tones, asking about inspection timelines, discussing closing costs. They were serious. One Saturday, they all left together, dressed nicer than usual, and said they were going to brunch. I watched them drive toward Maryvale instead. I followed them, kept my distance. Watched them meet a realtor outside a rundown 3-bedroom house with bars on the windows, watched Sophia take selfies in what would be her room. They spent an hour there planning their new life. The account balance, $4,800. I pulled up the listing that night. $190,000. Down payment needed $5,700 minimum. They were short by about $900. 2 days later, another charge hit. $920 cash advance. They'd pulled cash from the account to make up the difference. The balance dropped to $3,880. I knew what was coming. They'd drain every penny for that down payment, then come to me asking to keep paying their bills. Except this time, they'd have a house. That's what they thought, anyway. I mentioned to Charlie what was coming. They're really going to buy a house with your money. Looks like it. Heard them talking about it last night. What are you going to do? Wait and see. The Saturday it happened, I was at the gym when Sophia texted me. Family meeting at 4. Important news. I took my time getting home, stopped for a protein shake, let them get excited about their news, sat in my truck in the driveway for a full minute. 5 months. I'd watched them spend my money for 5 months, watched them lie to my face, watched them celebrate Sophia's minimum wage job on my birthday with my credit card, and now they were going to tell me they bought a house. When I walked in, they were all sitting in the living room. Papers spread on the coffee table. Official, looking documents with a real estate company logo. Time for the show. They were practically vibrating with excitement. Katerina had this huge smile. Rafael kept fidgeting with the papers. Sophia couldn't stop checking her phone, probably ready to post about it online. Sorry I'm late. What's going on? Rafael cleared his throat. Son, we wanted to talk to you about a decision we made, an investment in our family's future. We bought a house, Sophia blurted out. I acted confused. You what? Katerina jumped in. Well, we made a down payment. It's a wonderful 3-bedroom place in Maryvale. Perfect for Sophia to finally have her own space. Maryvale, one of the roughest parts of Phoenix. Property values had been dropping for 6 years straight. Crime rate through the roof. They couldn't have picked a worse investment if they tried. I picked up the mortgage documents. Everything was there. Purchase price $190,000 for a house probably worth $160,000. Down payment $5,700. Monthly mortgage $1,350 for 30 years. How'd you pay for the down payment? We used your card, Rafael said. Used up most of what was left. About $5,700. The account had $12,000 in it 5 months ago. Awkward silence. Well, Katerina stammered, we've had household expenses. Bills add up, right? Bills? I pulled out my phone, opened the spreadsheet I'd been keeping, like the $650 spa day, the $890 dinner, the new tablet, new TV, new furniture. Sophia's face went red. How do you know about that? It's my account. I get notifications for every transaction. Why didn't you say anything? Rafael demanded. I wanted to see what you'd do. Wanted to see if you'd respect the boundaries I set. Turns out you spent 90% of what you thought was my entire life savings on personal luxuries and a house for Sophia. It's an investment, Katerina said. Real estate builds equity in Maryvale. That house is going to lose value. That's not the point, Sophia snapped. The point is, we finally have our own place. No more living in this dump. Our own place, I repeated. So where do I fit into this? Another awkward silence. Well, Rafael said the house has 3 bedrooms. One for your mother and me, one for Sophia, and we need the third as an office for when Sophia's brand takes off. You're 29, Enzo. It's time to find your own place anyway. Be independent. Independent, right? I laughed. And I'm guessing you'll still need me to send money for bills and for this mortgage you just took out. Katerina looked relieved. Yes. If you could cover the $1,350 mortgage payment plus maybe another $500 for utilities and groceries at the new place. So you want me to find my own apartment, pay my own rent, and still pay $1,850 a month for a house I can't live in? We're family, Rafael said. I looked at them. They were all staring at me, waiting for me to agree. 5 months. I'd watched this play out for 5 months, and now they wanted more. The room was dead silent. I could hear the clock ticking in the kitchen, could see Katerina's fake smile starting to crack. You're absolutely right, I said, standing up. Family does help each other. I let that hang in the air for a second, which is why I'm sure you'll understand what happens next. The relief disappeared. Katerina's smile froze. I walked to my room, each step deliberate, heard them murmuring behind me, confused, concerned. I pulled out my laptop, logged into my email, found the documents Diego had sent me 5 months ago, the ones I'd been saving for exactly this moment. This was it. Printed all 8 pages. Watched the sheets slide out one by one, each page another nail in the coffin they'd built themselves. Picked up the stack, walked back to the living room. They were exactly where I left them, frozen, waiting. I dropped the papers on the coffee table right on top of their mortgage documents. What is this? Sophia asked nervously. Remember that paperwork you signed 5 months ago? The boring bank stuff. The account authorization, Katerina said. Pick it up, read page 1, the title at the top. Rafael picked up the stack, started reading. His face went white. Loan agreement and promissory note. The room went dead silent. Katerina grabbed the papers. I pulled out my phone, started reading from my copy. Page 1, paragraph 2. Borrower acknowledges receipt of loan funds in the amount of $12,000 from lender with repayment terms outlined herein. Page 3, right above where you signed, borrower agrees to repay the full loan amount plus 7% annual interest within 12 months of first withdrawal. Page 5, another section you signed under. Monthly payments of $1,100 are due beginning 30 days after initial withdrawal. This is fake, Sophia said, but her voice was shaking. You're making this up. I handed Rafael my phone with the PDF open. Every page, 8 pages total. You signed pages 3, 5, and 8. All 3 of you right under clauses that explicitly use the words loan, borrowed funds, and debt obligation. Katerina was flipping through the pages frantically. But you said it was account authorization. You said it was for bank access. I said it was paperwork for giving you access to the account, which it was. You assumed the rest and you signed without reading. You tricked us, Sophia screamed. I gave you 8 pages of clearly outlined terms. Every single page says loan agreement at the top in the header on every page. You didn't read it? That's on you. Rafael stood up, face turning red. No court would enforce this. This is completely legal. I cut him off. Diego Chen is a corporate attorney. He made sure every word was airtight. You want to challenge it? Hire a lawyer. But legal fees for a contract dispute start around $15,000, more than you owe me. The reality was sinking in now. I could see it on their faces. So that money, Katerina whispered. It wasn't your savings. Oh, it was my savings. Just not a gift. It was a loan that you spent, and now you owe back. How much, Rafael asked. 12,000 principal, plus 7% annual interest calculated monthly, plus any court costs. If you default, works out to about $1,100 a month for 12 months. We can't afford that, Katerina yelled. We have the mortgage now. Should have thought of that before buying a house with borrowed money. Rafael stood up, face red. This won't hold up in court. We're your parents. Katerina's voice went shrill. And I gave you every opportunity to respect that $12,000. You made your choices. I headed to my room, left them sitting there in shock. I called Diego. How'd they take it? About as well as you'd expect. That contract is bulletproof. If they default, we can pursue collections. Put liens on that house. Garnish wages. Good. I gave them a week to process. Moved my valuables to a storage unit, kept my laptop and important documents in my truck. The following Saturday, I came home to find locks changed. Rafael answered the door, arms crossed. You're no longer welcome here. The lease is in my name. Has been for 4 years. His face went pale. I pulled up the lease on my phone. My name, my signature, my bank account. You've been living in my house and you just locked me out. I called the landlord. He was pissed, called the police. The officer showed up, made Rafael let me back in, and warned him about illegal lockouts. How dare you call the police on your father, Katerina screamed. How dare you lock me out of my own house? Over the next 2 weeks, they tried everything. They called other family members, tried to paint me as the villain. I sent the loan documents to my aunt, my uncle, my cousins, let them see the signatures. My aunt called. Your mother says you're forcing them into debt. I'm collecting on a loan they took willingly. They say you tricked them. I gave them an 8-page document with clear terms. They signed. She was quiet. They really bought a house with your money. With borrowed money, they have to pay back. Yes, that's pretty stupid of them. They tried reporting my bank accounts as fraud. Bank investigated, saw the loan documents, closed the complaint. They tried claiming elder abuse. I was 29. They were 56 and 53. Investigators laughed. Sophia went online, posted about her abusive brother trying to destroy the family. Family kept calling with their complaints. I kept sending them the loan documents. Eventually, they stopped. The first payment deadline came. $1,100 due. Nothing. I waited 3 days, sent a formal notice of default, certified mail signature required. Rafael called me screaming, "You're really doing this over money, over $12,000 plus interest." Yes, we don't have it. We can't afford the mortgage and your payments. Not my problem. You took the loan, you pay it back. We'll lose the house. Then you'll lose the house. Should have thought of that before. Second month came, still nothing. I filed in small claims court. Wasn't going for the full amount yet. Started with month 1 and month 2. $2,200 plus interest, plus court fees. They got served at the house. Sophia called me crying. You're suing us. Actually suing us. Told you I would. Yeah, but we're family. Family, my ass. The court date came 3 weeks later. I showed up in a suit, brought Diego as my advisor, brought every document, every screenshot, every bank record. They showed up with a lawyer they clearly couldn't afford. Some guy who looked fresh out of law school, probably found him on Craigslist. He kept shuffling papers nervously. The courtroom was small county courthouse, small claims division, just the judge, a clerk, and us. Fluorescent lights humming overhead, plastic chairs, the smell of old coffee and legal documents. Judge was in his 60s. He took one look at the stack of documents Diego laid out, and I knew we'd already won. Their lawyer tried the sympathy angle, talked about family bonds and misunderstandings and how the document was confusing. The judge flipped through the loan agreement while the guy talked, stopped on page 3, where all 3 of them had signed directly under a paragraph that said borrower acknowledges receipt of loan funds. The judge looked up. This seems pretty clear to me. Their lawyer pivoted to the spending, tried to argue household expenses, family needs, reasonable use of funds. Diego didn't even stand, just slid across the bank statements with my highlighted notes. The $890 dinner at Mayanos, the $650 spa day, the $520 tablet. The judge's eyebrow went up with each page. He lingered on the Nordstrom receipt, the Sedona weekend, the Best Buy splurge. These are household expenses, the judge asked. Their lawyer had no answer, just stood there looking like he regretted taking the case. The whole thing took maybe 15 minutes. Judgment for the plaintiff. $2,200 plus 7% interest, plus $850 in court costs and fees. Next case. Rafael looked like he was going to pass out. Katerina was already crying. Sophia just stared at the table. Charlie met me for dinner that night. You really took them to court. And I won. How do you feel? Honestly, pretty good. They spent 6 years treating me like garbage. 6 years of entitlement and demands. I gave them one test, one chance to show basic decency. They failed. Now they pay for it. They're going to hate you forever. They never loved me to begin with. They loved my wallet. Now the wallet's closed. The judgment scared them straight for exactly 1 month. They scraped together $1,100, made a payment, probably borrowed it from someone, then nothing. I waited another month, filed again. Another judgment. Another $1,100 plus interest and fees. This time Rafael tried to negotiate. Called me from a number I didn't have blocked. We need to talk about a payment plan. There is a payment plan. It's in the loan documents. $1,100 a month. We can't afford that and the mortgage. Sell the house. We just bought it. Then you made a terrible financial decision. You're destroying our lives. I'm collecting a debt you legally owe. You're destroying your own lives. He hung up on me. 2 weeks later, Charlie called. Dude, I'm showing a property in Maryvale. Guess whose house is about to go into foreclosure already? They're 3 months behind on payments. That was fast. That's what happens when you bite off more than you can chew. The foreclosure notice went public. The house sold at auction 6 weeks later. Some investor bought it for $155,000. My family lost their $5,700 down payment and got stuck with all the closing costs. They moved to a rental 2-bedroom apartment in a rough area, the 3 of them crammed into 900 square feet. Katerina had to get a second job. Rafael picked up weekend shifts. Sophia kept working at Target but picked up extra shifts wherever she could. And I just kept filing judgments. Every missed payment added court fees, interest penalties. The total debt climbed from $12,000 to $15,500. Diego called. They hired a new lawyer trying to argue unconscionability. Will it work? Not a chance. Fair interest rate, clear terms. They spent the money on luxury items. No court's going to feel sorry for them. The hearing was set for 2 months out. I wasn't worried. In the meantime, I moved into my new place. Got a nice 2-bedroom condo in Scottsdale. Modern, clean, quiet. $2,200 a month. Paid a year up front in cash. Set up my office in the 2nd bedroom. Started working from home 2 days a week. Life was good. Met a woman named Allison through a work event. She was in supply chain management. Smart, independent, had her own money. We clicked. Took a trip to San Diego for a weekend. Stayed at a nice hotel. Ate at great restaurants. Meanwhile, my family was falling apart. Rafael developed high blood pressure from the stress. Katerina's hair went gray. Sophia gained weight from eating cheap food and working on her feet. They tried one more time to get family on their side. Hosted a dinner, invited everyone, told their sob story. No one was buying it after seeing the signed documents. The hearing came. Different judge this time. Their lawyer was better this time, actual firm letterhead, not some solo practice. He came prepared with arguments about unconscionability and family dynamics and undue influence. Diego brought the same evidence, the contract with loan agreement headers on every page, the signed paragraphs acknowledging debt, the bank statements showing spa days and designer purchases. The judge took 15 minutes to review everything. Judgment for plaintiff, full amount owed plus accrued interest and all court costs. Defendants have 30 days to satisfy the debt or wage garnishment begins. Rafael tried to argue. Your Honor, we can't possibly. Then you should have read what you were signing. They walked out in silence. I went to dinner with Allison, told her the whole story. You really took your family to court twice. That's pretty hardcore. I'm done being used. She smiled. I respect that. 30 days came and went. No payment. Diego filed for wage garnishment. Within 2 weeks, 25% of Rafael's paycheck was being redirected to me. Katerina's too. Even Sophia's minimum wage checks got hit. The garnishment process was brutal. Every employer they had received official court orders. The money came out before they even saw their paychecks direct, from payroll to an account Diego had set up, then forwarded to me after his administrative fee. They're going to try to dodge this, Diego warned. Rafael quit his job 2 weeks later, tried working under the table, lasted 3 weeks before he needed legitimate employment for health insurance. We filed garnishment the day he got another job. Sophia tried the same thing, quit Target, tried getting paid under the table somewhere, lasted a month before she needed consistent income. Went back to Target, garnishment resumed. They were making maybe $4,500 a month combined. After garnishment, they took home $3,375. After utilities, car insurance, gas, food, they were clearing maybe $800 a month. Work kept getting better. Allison and I got serious. We moved in together after 6 months. Then 9 months after the final judgment, Charlie called. "Your family's moving?" "Where, New Mexico?" "Saw them loading a U-Haul." Judgments follow you across state lines. They spent 6 years being relentless with me. I learned from the best. They moved to Albuquerque, found jobs there. Garnishment followed within 3 months. Over the next year, they paid back $8,400 through garnishment. Employment wasn't steady. Rafael had health issues. Sophia kept switching jobs. The garnishment hit when they were working, but there were gaps. Still owed $7,100. I didn't chase them, just let the legal system work. Diego called periodically. They tried to file bankruptcy. Will it work? Not for a valid contract debt. Bankruptcy won't discharge it. Life moved forward. 2 years after the initial loan, they'd paid back $11,200 through a combination of garnishment and a few lump sum payments when they got desperate. Still owed $4,300. Then I got the call. It came from a number I didn't recognize. "Enzo." Katerina's voice shaky. "How'd you get this number?" "It's your father. Heart attack 3 weeks ago. The medical bills are over $40,000. We can't afford it with the garnishment. File for medical bankruptcy or work out a payment plan. Son, please. We're family. That stopped meaning something when you kicked me out and called me a failure." I hung up. 3 days later, Sophia showed up at my house with Allison there. "Dad's really sick. The garnishment is killing us. You should have thought about that before spending $12,000 on designer clothes and fancy dinners." Allison came to the door. Sophia looked at our house, the neighborhood, her face twisted with rage. "This is what you chose while your family suffers. I chose to not be used anymore." She threw an envelope at me from Dad, then she left. I opened it. Handwritten letter. "Son, I know we failed you, but I'm asking you to forgive the debt to let us move forward. I'm sick. Your mother's exhausted. Sophia's barely surviving. We've paid enough. Please, Dad," I showed it to Allison. "What are you going to do?" "Nothing. They've paid back $11,200 of $12,000. They still owe $4,300 with interest and fees. When they pay that, we're even. You're really going to make them pay every penny?" "Yes." 2 weeks later, Rafael showed up in person at my office. Security called. "Sir, there's a man here to see you. Says he's your father." I didn't answer for a full 10 seconds. My father at my office, the place he didn't even know existed, the vice president office with the window view and the corner desk. "Sir, security again." I sighed. "Send him up, but have security wait outside my office." Rafael walked in, looking terrible. 20 pounds lighter, gray skin moving slow. There was a scar on his chest I could see through his thin shirt. He stopped just inside the door, looked around, took in the office, the view, the nameplate on my desk that said Enzo Duca, Vice President of Operations. I watched it sink in. "What do you want?" He sat down without being asked. "I want you to let this go." "No, Enzo, please. I'm asking as your father. You stopped being my father when you kicked me out of my own house. We were wrong. We've admitted that. We've paid back almost everything. Almost isn't all. We can't afford to finish. The medical bills, the garnishment, it's too much. Then you'll pay it off slowly, but you'll pay it." He leaned forward. "What will it take? What do you want from us?" "Nothing. I don't want anything from you. I just want what you owe me. We gave you a home for 29 years. I paid rent for 6 of those years while you spent my money on yourselves." His face went red. "That money was supposed to be for the family. That money was a loan with clearly defined terms that you ignored. We're sorry. How many times do we have to say it? Sorry doesn't pay debts." He stood up, slammed his hands on my desk. "You're really going to let your father die in debt? Die knowing his son destroyed him? I'm going to collect money you legally owe me. If that destroys you, you did it to yourself. You're going to regret this. I've regretted a lot of things. Giving you that card isn't one of them. Someday you'll need family. I don't need you. You needed me. You just didn't realize it until too late. His jaw clenched. Security must have sensed the tension because they opened the door. Everything okay in here, Mr. Duca? My father was just leaving. Security escorted him out. That evening, Katerina called. We'll pay it the full amount. We'll take out a loan, borrow from retirement, whatever it takes. Just end this. When I receive $4,300, the garnishment stops. Not before. We'll have it by next month. Looking forward to it. They scraped it together, borrowed from Katerina's 401k, took out a high-interest personal loan, sold their car, and bought a beater. The payment cleared 33 days later. I called Diego, filed to release the garnishment. It's done. How do you feel? Like I just closed a business transaction. The garnishment stopped. They started keeping their full paychecks again. I never heard from them again. No calls, no letters, no surprise visits. They stayed in New Mexico. I stayed in Phoenix. We existed in separate worlds. A year later, I married Allison. Beautiful ceremony, just close friends, her family. My cousin asked why my parents weren't there. We're not close. I live a good life now. Great job, great wife, great house, zero drama. They took the bait, they hung themselves with the rope I gave them, and I walked away clean.